G'day everyone, Jason Nunn with a very early Friday fishing report. Of course, today being Thursday. Fishing report proudly brought to you by Fisherman's Warehouse Marine at Warners Bay. And of course, last Saturday we did say that I was going to go out to the briny and challenge that southerly wind. Well, it mightn't have been the best thing. We got out there around about up past 10, 11 o'clock, 25 knots or better for about 4 hours. It was pretty ugly. But if you're not going to put the effort in, you don't get the rewards. We got a nice striped marlin, released it, lost another couple, and got a really nice dolphin fish to bring home for the crew, around about 12 kilo. Best water temp that we could get last Saturday, surprisingly enough, guys, 23.5 to 23.7, and I talked about it last Friday. That patch of water that was off the coast, that was off a few degrees, very early in the morning when the conditions were quite good, we did go way out the back, and water temp there around about 25.9, maybe 26. What has happened since then is there's been an incredibly good marlin bite up off Port Stephens, north of Port Stephens, in and around about that 32.50 mark. A lot of striped marlin, black marlin and blues all mixed in, and there's a lot of bait there at the present moment. Water temp there around about that 26, maybe 26.3 from what I understand, but a lot of bait. We didn't see much bait down our neck of the woods, but there was still enough fish activity there to create some sort of interest. And I think if it hadn't blown as hard as what it did, we probably would have caught a few more. It was just getting very ugly out there for quite some time. Back on the inshore, we've heard a few kings getting caught now, particularly down Texas way, and it is quite early, but it's a great start to the season. Some really nice fish up to that metre mark getting caught down there, live baits in particular being the better. Yes, there are a few dolphin fish around our fads, Newcastle of course, Port Stephens and no doubt off Swansea, but there's a real variant in size, guys. There's not a lot of size. And this has been one of these funny seasons where we haven't seen a lot of small dolphin fish, and certainly they haven't hung around long enough, but yet when you get out past 70 fathoms, out to the shelf to 85, 90 fathoms, the dolphin fish themselves out there are quite large. So it's unusual, but it's of benefit when you do catch one. It is a very, very good fish, but there's still enough time. And I think as we move into March and April, there'll still be enough time to get a few of those bigger dolphin fish out around the fat, or certainly out on that trap line. On the inshore, we're still hearing cobia around, and of course, got a lady angler, Lee, from up at Musselbrook, actually sent me an email this week and a photograph. A 103, I'm pretty sure it was, cobia that was caught inside Port Stephens on a pilchard. What a great catch. And this is what we're seeing, you know, cobia off the bay, now inside the bay, off Moon Island, in Lake Macquarie. So these cobia are tending to be a lot more coastal than we give credit for. Lee, of course, caught it on a pilchard, which just goes to show that they're very active when they're feeding, and they are incredibly eating fish, those cobia. So we'll probably see more of them as we move towards Easter, which is obviously at the end of this month, and then certainly in April. But they'll hang around while that water temperature on the inshore is still around that 23 degrees and as clear as what it is. Guys, we are blessed with weather for the next 7 days. That's the early report. Weather conditions really around about 5 to 15 knots of northeast to east northeast for the next 7 days, and really minimal swell, a little bit over probably a metre, maybe a metre, 1.3 at best, but absolutely perfect offshore fishing conditions to take advantage of what's actually going on along the coast. Got some really good tides this weekend too. Tomorrow being Friday, high tide around about that 7:30, around about 8:20 on Saturday, a big tide, 202. But of interest, new moon coming through on Sunday, and that low tide on Saturday, that's just a bit after, say around about 3:45 from memory. It's incredibly low. It's like a 0.23. So you're going to see this huge tidal shift of basically 1.8 metres on Saturday. And of course, that shift will still be there all the way through next week. So some fantastic fishing conditions. Some good reports on the beaches and the rocks, of course. Those tailor are still about, those better fish, 50 to 60s, early morning on the rocks and now on the beaches. And we're starting to see that little bit of a spillover of a few brim, but now a few flathead moving along our beaches. So a bit of a bonus catch there. And of course, with this new moon now starting to come through, a great opportunity to take care of a few mulloway, and I think Stockton in particular is fishing well for mulloway. A few guys I spoke to had been heading up there. But don't forget our local beaches, particularly in town. Merriweather gets missed a lot, but certainly Redhead, definitely Blacksmiths, and of course down towards Catherine Bay, and even further afield, the other side of Birdie, a lot of mulloway coastally. The offshore inshore system, a bit quiet for reds, but plenty of good bonito around as we talked about, and they will continue on for the next probably month or more, but good trag, mulloway, a few small reds, and again, those flathead now starting to be a better part of the catch because there's a lot more flathead offshore than what we give credit for. If you're going to come back into the lake, still some really good catches of squid. Again, the normal haunts, guys, the drop over, Murrays, that deeper water, but you can move around the lake and find these patches. Been some really nice mulloway caught. I spoke to Zach Baker this week, a big eye trevally, and there's some of the exotic type species that we always see around there. Over the last few weeks, of course, we had the wolf herring getting caught over towards Araring as well. So we're seeing a lot of this activity along with cobia inside the lake. A few good kings around, and I think that'll continue through now. A lot of mullet moving around. I've had a few test runs the last few days where the boys had the invite for, and it's been beautiful just cruising down the lake. A lot of mullet moving around, so they're starting to get a bit edgy, but with these mild conditions, I can't really see the mullet run happening at the end of the month when Easter falls in the last Friday of basically March. I think we're going to see it push out and more back towards Anzac Day before we start to see the volumes of mullet school up and start to move coastally. But still some nice flathead in the estuaries itself, and I think the next big rainfall that we have, guys, in March, I think that'll be the trigger that moves a lot more fish out of here. But some really nice brim still, few whiting of course, and you've just got to get out there and have a bit of a dig. Still some good blue swimmer crabs, and that'll continue right the way through, probably till May and June, because I think this mild weather hopefully will be around. Anyway, guys, I've got some things I've got to do today. I'll see you next Friday when we give a report on what the next week of perfect weather will bring. We're going to have a bit of a fish on Saturday. Hopefully 25 knots won't blow us out of the ocean, and we'll talk next Friday.